Okay, looking ahead now to 2026. It's not that far away. Proposed property tax statements are out, and if you haven't already received yours, you will by the end of the month. Tonight at 6, we begin a two-part Digging Deeper report on the preliminary numbers in Minnesota. Now, we're breaking them down for you first on the county level. But before we get to that, we want to help set the stage, and we fully acknowledge property taxes are not easy to explain. Again, we're talking about preliminary property tax levies for next year. They're not final, so think of these figures as the worst case scenario. The proposed statements are they're as high as any increase can go. By the end of December, your local elected officials must decide whether to leave the preliminary amount as it is or they can lower it. Final property tax levies will be announced in February. That said, the 2026 preliminary property tax levies for all Minnesota counties, there are 87 of them, it totals approximately $4.5 billion. That, when you do the math, represents an 8% increase over last year's final levy amount for all counties at $4.2 billion. So here's then what we find when crunching the numbers on the local level. The KTTC viewing area includes 10 Minnesota counties. They're listed there right now with a percentage next to them. That figure, the percentage, represents the positive percent change, in other words, an increase in 2026 preliminary tax levies over the 2025 final levies. Are you with me? We find Freeborn, Winona, Mower with the double-digit proposed increases you see there. And then you see Olmsted counties at close to 7% with a bump in it. Wabasha County proposing the lowest increase in our area at 5%. Now, this is really important to distinguish. Let's take the 6.5% proposed increase in Goodhue County there on the second column. It does not mean every property owner in the county would see that tax increase next year if the county board were to certify that amount in December. Collectively, property taxes countywide would need to be increased by that percentage. Again, in Goodhue County is the example, 6.5%, to allow the county to balance its 2026 operating budget. Tax rates and property values determine your individual property taxes in a given year. So we wrap this up here by adding up those proposed county increases you just saw for 2026, and the result is more than $28.5 million. That figure is the additional preliminary amount of property taxes payable next year Southeast Minnesota county officials have set, with that reflection showing in your recent property tax statement. Again, worst case scenario at play here. As for the Y factor, so it's largely twofold according to the Association of Minnesota Counties. First, there's the rising cost of doing business at the local government level. Second, the state and federal mandates that are now placing additional financial strains on counties. Remember, in addition to your county, your property tax dollars also go to your school district and your city or your township. So, part 2 of our Digging Deeper report on proposed taxes continues tomorrow night at 6 when we crunch preliminary city numbers for next year, which are higher than the county numbers we shared with you tonight.